Welcome, everyone, to the Depleted podcast, a podcast about all things World of Warcraft. This is episode 1. I'm your host, Tarithal, and with me is my co-host, Spoogy.
Hey, how's it going?
For introduction, the two of us have been playing World of Warcraft for about a decade.
Yeah, we met each other in Wrath of the Lich King. I guess that's been, 12 years? 2008 was 2007? Somewhere there.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
2008. And we figured it's time. It's time to make the podcast.
Let you hear the musings of some madmen.
Yeah. So we're calling this the Depleted Key podcast, as the name suggests. We do a lot of M+. That's probably mostly what we do together. We're located on US Zul'jin. I'm currently playing a Demon Hunter tank, a Disc Priest, Windwalker Monk, and I do have a Rogue that has long been forgotten since the nerfs.
And I've got a Resto Druid and a Marksman Hunter.
And how are you feeling about those?
I feel like Druid's in a pretty good spot. It's obviously not your go-to healer, for a lot of the top end stuff, but Marksman is really fun. It can burst some damage.
Yeah. I think, what are you, 205?
Yeah.
205. Yeah, we did.
Maybe a little less than that, actually. I'm trying to think. I think I'm like 203, but
yeah, we were doing the other side earlier today, and we pulled up on the third boss. What was that? Was it a 10 or a 12 key?
That was a 10.
It was a 10. Yeah, so it's just kind of an alt run. So he's 205, and my Disc Priest is just 207, which is, I think, his second alt, my third or fourth alt at this point. And we got done with the third boss, which is the really nasty boss with the lightning that chains back and forth, and it's the bombs that explode that you got to go up in the air. And we got done with that boss, and I think I caught you at 7k DPS at the end, which for a 205 is actually super impressive.
Tyrannical week, too.
Yeah, so it's a tyrannical week.
Are sort of stretched out a bit.
Yeah.
Were you giving me power infusion?
I think I did.
And I know when you gave it to me on Hakar, it was like I had just snorted some super agility cocaine speed.
Yeah.
Because I could not cast aim shot fast enough. It was the most amazing feeling ever. Because we bloodlusted too, and it was just like, oh my god, I've been missing out.
Yeah, I had been trolling most of the night, and we have a friend he's probably like 180, maybe 190 is a stretch on a brand new elemental shaman. And I was giving him power infusion just to kind of keep him in the game. And then once we actually ended up doing kind of a higher key, well, I mean, that's not really a high key, but I mean, for a tyrannical week, a 10 or a 12.
It makes me feel better that you say that, though, because I was feeling kind of like, oh, man, I feel like I should be stopping him, not just, I was winning still, but I was like, it was close. Closer than I felt it should be. So it makes me feel better that you were.
Oh yeah, no. I definitely was trying to keep him in the game, make him.
Yeah, because I was looking back and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna catch some crap about this for not, stomping him into the ground and salting the earth, But yeah, it makes me feel better. Okay, glad to know.
Anyways, yeah, very impressive. 7k on a 205 hunter. I see some people at 215 plus that don't even pull that. So.
And the great thing about the class right now is I feel like it's really simple.
Yeah.
I have not played Marksman since they made some big I want to talk like Pandaland.
Mm-hmm.
I raided Pandaland on the Hunter, but I was survival. But that was the old survival before they went melee. And then ever since then, it's pretty much always been Beastmaster because you're DPSing and just constantly running around. I have that disease where you have to jump and sidestep constantly while you're DPSing anything. So Beastmaster was always my go-to. So this is my first time back on Marksman in several expansions.
Yeah, it kind of frustrated me watching some of the high-end guilds compete for world first. And I'm over here playing a Windwalker Monk where my opening rotation is 20 buttons long. And I'm seeing them do 20 or 30k bursts, essentially hitting 3 buttons over and over and over and over and over. It's like, really?
Yeah, the classes definitely are not equal in that regard.
Yeah, not that Windwalker is super difficult, but I would definitely put it on one of the more technical classes.
Yeah, I never once looked up a rotation guide or anything from Marksman, but we have a mutual friend, Ice, and I was trying to help him out with Fire Mage, and I remember pulling up the guide to that, and it was like, oh my god, the manual for operating, my truck or something. It's just so much simpler than Fire Mage. It was paragraph after paragraph, and just so many things that change depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
Marksman, simple,
Yep.
AoE is 2 buttons.
How do you feel about the legendary? Or do you even have the legendary?
I've got the 190, like the rank 1 basic legendary, and it's I don't know, like it. I have the one. Okay, here's what it does. It's aim shot applies Serpent Sting.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't take the Serpent Sting talent because it gives it to you.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't feel like it's super impactful. I don't think it does. It's not a game changer like I know some of the other legendaries for other classes are.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a numbers thing. I looked it up and it said this is the best for numbers, so that's what I did. Kind of sad, but there's some other ones out there that are probably more fun, I would say, but I don't know if they have tweaked any numbers yet.
Yeah, well, I think that's indicative of how we play the game, though. For those listening, we do take the game pretty seriously. We're both in raiding guilds, and our mains are probably hovering close to 220 at this point.
218 plus some change.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we're both at this point just trying to get our very last pieces before they really push out the new content. And we try to min-max basically as much as we can.
Oh yeah, for sure. Really can't get much out of raids where I am progressing versus where you are.
Right.
So the deal here is he's in a little bit of a higher end guild that is you pushing mythic content, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are still working on Sire Heroic in my guild.
Yeah, I was watching. He was streaming it on Sunday for me, and I was kind of watching over his shoulder on Twitch, and it looked like you guys were actually almost getting it down. It seemed like you were in phase 3 consistently, and it might just be a numbers issue at this point.
Yeah, we had a few issues. One is tank positioning.
Mm-hmm.
We still have to fix that a little bit. We get to phase 3, and you had that initial hump on Sire phase 3 where you've got the knockback and then immediate soak, right?
How many ads are you phasing it with?
We're trying to get it with like 1, like
Yeah,
at best.
that sounds right.
Anything more than that and it's too much.
Right.
But the phasing happens. You try to do the soak,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes a lot of calibration, a lot of just learning it, and that is
Right.
deep into a fight too. So it's it's like don't mess up on anything up to that point.
Yeah.
But our issue right now is tanks are still getting knocked off.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's not like we even have a shot to do anything else. And then I think we are just a little bit weak on our heals too. We're kind of training our people to get better at soaks. I think we about got that mechanic fixed,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we're still working on some numbers with healers. We have 2 resto druids, myself and another one, and then we have a holy paladin, and I think a disc priest in there would kind of smooth that out, and we could kill it.
Yeah, as someone who recently has been forced to play a Disc Priest in Raid, I would say the phase 3 of Sire, at least for me, is awkward to get used to. Just because you want to place the first soak so far away from the boss, but all your damage comes from hitting the boss. And so you're torn in this really awkward place where your raid leader's yelling at you to soak everything, while at the same time you're trying to be in range of Sire to actually, get some heals out. So it's definitely awkward, but if you time it right, if you time your spirit shell to be ready, then I don't know. I think you can get it off, and because you definitely see the biggest healing requirement during that first soaking period. The soaks go out, he pulls you in, you got to go back and soak, and that's typically where you want like your healing cooldown.
And it's hard for me because you have to do the knockback, run to the soak, and then he grips you back, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I cannot trank during that. I have
Yeah.
to. I save convoke, and I
Yeah.
try to be like a convoke,
All right.
and then wild growth, and try to just layer as much out there as I can, and then flourish it.
Mm-hmm.
But the numbers, man.
Yeah, I just got thinking about that. That's probably rough. I'm kind of in the same place where, as a disc priest, I kind of want to just turret somewhere, and I want to be able to ramp up my spirit shell. And pretty much my only other option is use a radiance, which you don't really want to use outside of this. Outside of your ramp, there's one you can fit in between ramps. But other than that, you're just spamming flash heal or whatever it is now. Shadow
How
Men.
bad does that mess you up if you get off the ramp trail there?
Well, I would say it's probably boss specific. For Sire, I think the ability is called Ravage. The big
Right.
Ravage is probably the biggest thing you want to ramp for. And obviously if you miss one, you have to wait for the next one. But at the same time, there's a lot of extra damage coming out, so you might as well just use a Spirit Shell, somewhere during that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I would say phase 3. It's probably you could use it wherever. If you can time it with the Ravage, that's best. But you probably get a lot of use out of it no matter what. Knockbacks do quite a bit of damage. Soaking is always a struggle. I guess you kind of just have to fit it in wherever. But there's definitely a telegraph spot to use it during phase 1 and phase 2.
Yeah. I feel like phase 1 and phase 2 are very. I feel like overall, I think the fight. Let me just go ahead and say, I think it's well made.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun.
I think it's a fair fight, and I think it's fun. Like I said, I have smashed my face. Well, I don't know, maybe 40 pools by now, and I still enjoy it. It is definitely a good fight. But yeah, phase 1, pretty straightforward and simple. And same thing with phase 2. It's and then you get to phase 3, and that is a straight numbers game, while requiring you very unforgivingly to do these mechanics where, like you said, I just need to turret for a second and just crank some heals out. And I just don't get that opportunity. I'm trying to
Right.
hot and on the run, and it's just not enough right now for me.
Yeah.
In my group.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, this first tier. I actually feel like it's pretty forgiving. I rated I don't think it was called cutting edge back then, but I rated, Dragon Soul and Siege of Orgrimmar, some of those end raids. And man, we had every single healing cooldown assigned. Everyone knew exactly when we were going to use it. And I'm sure that, the top end guilds are still doing that. Oh, I know they are. But I don't know, for a lot of these bosses on Heroic, and even in, the first couple bosses on Mythic that I've experienced, you don't really have to have healing cooldowns.
Y'all don't discuss that?
Well, for us, I think that's a pain point. I think that's something that would definitely improve our progress, and definitely give us more consistency if we talk that out. But for us specifically, we have a lot of turnaround. It's not different people, but different people wanting to play different roles. Kind of similar to you, actually. But for us, it's more like the officers of the guild are like, hey, we're missing a warrior. Guess what? You're a warrior tank now. Reroll. And for me, it's like, hey, you're a Windwalker monk, but hey, now we need a Disc Priest, so we know you can Disc Priest. Good luck.
That's and you're such a great Windwalker. It would seem easier in my head to just get a different disc,
Well, yeah, and we're missing a Windwalker buff now, and so they're trying to find someone to, Windwalk. I'm over here pulling 95% plus parses, on what I'm doing, but I don't know.
Our guild's a little bit different. They allow people. The guild, the raid leader is not asking. Our shaman healer went monk healing, and we were 9 out of 10, and he decided he wanted to go paladin healing.
Yeah.
So we're resetting our heal team almost, weekly.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Outs,
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely frustrating being a part of a team that's constantly changing when you're the one that wants to progress. But at the same time, if there's going to be a tier where people are experimenting with their comp, it's probably the time to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Typically, the first tier is your easiest, and then it usually starts ramping up from there. It's like baby's first raid. But
Yeah.
I would say this one was like that on probably the first 7 bosses, and then it definitely started ramping up. I don't think Sludge Fist was hard by any means. It was just a lot of personal responsibility, which can be hard for some groups.
I think it was
Uh,
definitely hard when it first came out and the gear requirement was not yet met. While everyone was under 210, I would say it was probably hard on heroic just because.
okay, yeah, yeah, you got a point there. You do. Stone Generals, that's a very hard fight, I would say.
Well,
Uh,
I think once you get it downed, it's fairly telegraphed. I think it's the same way where there's not a lot of RNG. I mean, the only RNG is essentially if I'm sitting there beginning my ramp as a priest and I get targeted and I have to move out, with the other person and they move back in. That's really annoying and that can kind of throw off the fight. But everything else is pretty, I don't know, pretty straightforward.
I'll tell you something about Stone Generals is it's definitely one of the fights that you'd rather have more people on
You
than a
think so?
smaller rate.
Yeah, that might be
Well,
true.
none of our kills have been due to uh, pure guilt, right? We've
Mm-hmm.
always pugged extra. The first week we killed it, we had pugs in there, and then we went back the next week and we just hit a wall.
Mm-hmm.
You have instances where you could have 2 healers have to bleed,
Mm-hmm.
and then they both get stunned, and somebody could probably die during that time. Especially if it was the 2 resto druids, and then we have our third healer, our weakest healer, having to keep everybody up. Um, we just couldn't do it. Then we bring in some pugs, beef up the size of the group, and it's still RNG, but you have more people for soaks, and you got more people for bleeds. And people make mistakes. They don't really realize, oh, the buff's off me now. I can go soak an eruption, things like that. But you know, I feel like that fight is easier with more people. But
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it definitely could be. I think you guys would benefit from a disc priest, and I know we've said that before, but yeah, I don't know. Druids are just not very flavor of the month right now, and
no,
having 2 of
no,
them is almost kind of a redundant thing to have.
yeah, I came in, and I want to say the second week they brought in the second druid,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a healer. We had a who could keep up with me as far as the healing meters go. But then he swapped to a rogue, and then he swapped again to a priest. And his in-game plan was be a disc priest when we needed it. But he's, I don't even think he's 200 yet. I think he's
Okay.
490 something. So his DPS has been weak, and when we have him as disc, his heals are weak. So, um,
Yeah, I
you
gotcha.
know, it was, and then the other guy came in to heal, and then he swapped 3 characters himself. So the other resto druid, can keep pace with me
Mm-hmm.
on the meters, and I'm not really to throw meters out there because healing is a zero sum game. If everybody's cranking and everybody's doing the right thing, as far as mechanics,
Right.
you're not going to look that tremendous, really.
Right. Well, you can also, as a healer, you definitely could snipe heals. I mean, that's always been a thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
I am guilty of that.
oh
Swift
yeah,
in that, and
parses themselves aren't really, they're. It kind of depends on how many healers you bring, how fast you guys kill it. If you're not parsing 90 plus, that's not really indicative of the quality of player that you are. But at the same time,
I can tell you my highest parses. We're talking like 97 and higher are when the other healers die and I'm just by myself out there cranking and doing great. The cleanest, best runs we have, I'll probably hover in like the 80s, and look very mediocre. That's because everything's going good.
yeah, I think my guild parses. I think everyone parses in like the 95 plus percentile on Shriekwing. I don't know why, but we kill that boss so fast. I mean, we barely scratch just over 3 minutes. It's like 3 minutes and 25 seconds or something like that. And like literally everyone in the guild is parsing super high. And I mean, it's kind of both things, right? They are doing a lot of DPS, but at the same time, even the healers are parsing super high just because it goes so quickly.
Yeah.
We're just able to basically blow our load, and then he does his little intermission, and then we blow our load again, and then he's dead. So it's
Well, I think that's great because there's really not that much damage. It's not like Sludge Fist. I love that fight because you get the slams and the when he hits the pillar,
mm-hmm.
and then you get and the whole raid just drops down. But then there's not really much follow up damage behind that, so you can sit there and blow a cooldown and look really awesome. But I felt like the first couple of fights, like, man, should I just even go boomkin for this? Just there's not that much on heroic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah, speaking of boomkins, great week to be a boomkin in M+. I've been playing a lot of Vengeance Demon Hunter with you and a couple of our friends, and tell you what, it's a necrotic week and it's a tyrannical week.
Team Druid.
And yeah, actually we had 3 druids. We had a healer druid and the 2 boomkins with us. And having those trees on a minute cooldown, so having them go out twice a minute is awesome with necrotic.
I just gotta say our crowning achievement is knocking down a 15 sanguine on a tyrannical week. But I didn't even notice, until maybe the last gauntlet that necrotic was even a mechanic. Really?
Yeah. No. As a Vengeance Demon Hunter, I've basically been ignoring it all week just because I keep running with a couple of boomkins.
So the deal with that is boomkins can spec to drop the little tree ants, and they'll take the necrotic stacks for the tank, and with just a minute cooldown. So we had 2 boomkins in our group. Just dropped them and coordinating that, and it just completely nullified probably the most cancerous affix out there.
Yeah, no, I can't even remember what the other one. Oh, bolstering. Yeah, it's bolstering and necrotics are 2 things you're not happy about as a tank. And having 3 druids with me, in between the tree ants taunting everything, including the pride.
Oh yeah, we have 3 Ursals, and you have 3 knockbacks. I know at one point we had a fire mage with us, and he was like, "Do we even need a tank?" Because the ads were just getting constantly jerked back, knocked back. They couldn't even make it to the tank.
Yeah.
So we're like, "Do we even need you?"
Yeah, for sure. But on top of that, I'm basically running full DPS. I think I'm running Eternal Skirmish on my chest. I think I'm running Sinful Revelation on my weapon, and I'm running a DPS trinket. I'm running a 223 version of the trinket from Sanguine Depths, actually. The one that does the AoE cone, which basically does nothing for me as a tank other than provide threat and overall damage, which is great, but yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, you do need that damage because you do run with a Resto Druid, so...
Yeah, true.
Yeah. It's one of our downfalls is we can't really crank out the heals.
Mm-hmm.
It always amazes me watching a Holy Paladin and a Disc Priest go in there and just...
Oh, you mean the damage? Yeah.
Yeah, the damage output. It's, I can Sunfire everybody and then individually Moonfire.
Convoke, and,
man. I'm using that to keep you guys alive.
Oh. Invincible tank over here.
Yeah, this week I definitely could have rotated Heart of the Wild in and Convoked because those tree ants really did help. It was crazy.
Yeah. We were working. We have another friend that is a tank, and when he goes tank, I typically swap over to my Windwalker Monk, and we almost burned through a 16 Plaguefall today. We got to the second to last boss. No, I lied. We got to the last boss. Second to last boss went perfectly fine. I was super impressed because if you recall on the spider boss with all the ads that throw the assassination stuff out, all of those little ads apply necrotic. So I'm like, this is where Arky's going to die. I'm waiting for my friend to drop dead. And we made it through. We got to the bottom, and it's a necrotic bolstering week. And we had a hunter with us, just some random pug, and he pulled the entire room randomly. I don't know if he thought we were short on time or what, but he pulled the entire room. Things started dying randomly. Everything got bolstered. Everything got turned into the giant green glob monsters that chase the tank. And we died about 4 times over and killed the key. And we actually ended up finishing it. We one-shot the boss, which that's supposed to be a tough boss on a tyrannical week, and so we totally would have had the timer.
What kind of healer did you have for that?
We had a really good shaman, actually. It was a 218 shaman who had completed probably like 27, 15 keys or something at this point. And
Yeah,
then,
they're very good place.
oh yeah, especially on the last two bosses in there. Just all the AoE healing that they can do over and over and over really helps out a lot.
Yeah, it's tough as Resto Druid. That used to be kind of like our bread and butter, but you know, you can AoE just fine. It's just the problem is just the amount of damage that's coming out. And on Margrave specifically is what I'm thinking of in my head right now. The movement too.
Yeah.
You're having to dodge. You got to really stick to the inner part there because we all learned last week. You get slapped by tentacles.
They nerfed that. The nerf is live this week. I guess.
Oh, nice.
I guess you haven't been in there yet, but yeah, the little ads that smack you for 75% of your health in one hit. Those do less damage now, and then two, the tentacles themselves.
That's what the tentacles was.
Yeah, they're a little bit slower.
And you have the I don't know what it's called, something rain maybe.
Oh yeah, did that get nerfed too? Maybe that did.
I don't know, but I know it melts at higher keys. Your entire group at the same time, and if you got Convoke up, that's fine. If you have a moment to stand still with Trank, it's fine. But other than that, it's like get a quick wild growth off, and then you're having to move typically for tentacles. And
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I was
gonna say last week we had all three druids because we were running double boomkin then too. Get smacked by a tentacle, and it was always like the body is outside of the tentacle, but it's like the further you get away from the boss, I feel like the kill radius gets a little bit wider, from the actual graphic or something, because all of our bodies were past it, but we were running, we're not on the we were running on the outside, and it just was slapping us.
Yeah, I've got a story about that. So that's the last key we all need for our KSM. And actually, I ended up killing it today, so I do officially have KSM. But I went in there with a guild group to try to kill it, and I was talking all this smack because I've gone in there so many times trying to get the trinket out of there, and I've just spent hours on that last boss alone in pug groups where mostly pugs just die over and over and over and over. And I got to the point where I just never die to that boss anymore. I'll never get hit by a tentacle again. And I'm talking all this smack. We get to the final boss. I'm like, okay, this is free. And I died to a tentacle. And then, technically, I didn't die to the tentacle. The tentacle was coming around and was about to smack me in the face. And so I had this bright idea that, hey, I'm going to rush through the middle as a windwalker. And maybe there's a slight chance that, I'll make it all the way through and I won't get slapped by this tentacle. And I died right where the boss spawns, right in the middle of the acid.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, and of course we didn't have anyone with us with an actual res, but we had a mage with the engineering gizmo that works. And of course, since I'm in the middle of the ring, he can't reach me. And so
you're just lost.
No, he actually went in to try to get me up, and he did somehow manage to get me up. But he died in the process, and so we ended up basically, losing however many seconds for him trying to get me up. And then me waiting to take the res after he did get me up, because I didn't want to randomly get slapped by the tentacles during the tentacle phase.
Right.
And so we ended up having a person down, and then we killed the key by 10 seconds. And so I had to go back in there, I don't know, probably 3 more times before I actually got it down.
That's rough.
But
I do not like that place. That's my last one I need.
Yeah, we'll get it, but it wasn't that bad, and
I'm kind of hoping we get it out of the vault. That
next week would be a good week to do it, and honestly,
it's a good push week coming up. We have storming, and we have inspiring, which 4 to 5 week, 2 I would say they're non-threatening. You do have inspiring, keeps you from interrupting. We really don't CC too much. We just,
Yeah, no, we don't. We do a little bit inspires. We like to CC some of the packs around around the squad leader, depending on the week.
Do they inspire that one group in Mist at the start?
Um, I think there might be. Yeah, I think there might be one of those.
Yeah,
I think it
I can see
changes every
that
time
being
too.
I can see that being a tough in certain spots, but
Yeah, it could be.
overall, I think it's gonna be a great week. But mentioning the vault,
Hmm.
how do you feel about gearing?
Um, I don't hate it. A lot of people, it's a big discussion right now, right? Everyone on Reddit
Right,
is freaking
right.
out about it. Everyone on YouTube is making videos about it. I actually really like the way they did it this time around. I do wish PvP wasn't so impactful, but that's coming from someone that's absolutely, you know, a trash can on fire at PvP. So we did manage to get 1600, so we do get our 213 gear, but like you kind of mentioned earlier, we're just kind of sitting around waiting to one, basically get a bunch of mythic bosses down, which that is an experience, or two, just kind of get drip fed our gear from the vault.
It's what it feels like, a very slow drip IV to get us, beefed up enough. I really think I gotta say, on one hand, I think PvP got it right this time.
Yeah,
You get your rating,
yeah.
you buy your gear, and it's not immediately like you just buy your 220. Was it
Mm-hmm.
220 or 222? 220, right? And then, but you get it at 200, and then you got to boost it up. You've done the rating, and so then you can go, beef it up. Then I feel like that was a great system.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been good, in my opinion, like Mythic Plus. Once KSM's down, I think a lot of people are going to stop doing it as much. You may see people, just to get their great vault done, but
I
I
actually
think
actually disagree with that. I think the people that like Mythic Plus enough to do KSM probably care a lot about IO score at the same time.
I really didn't raid too much. I had a lot of personal stuff, a new baby, moving and everything going on in BFA.
Mm-hmm.
So I really was not a part of any raid team, but Mythic Plus is what I did. And that was where I spent my time in the game, and I loved it. And I mean, I still love doing them. I still feel that. I don't know if all of our group loves it as much without the gear, because we got a
Potentially.
lot of alcoholics in our group, So
Yeah.
it slows it down, as far as like the gear. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, you are going to get something out of the vault,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, you know the item level, and if you do want to get three options, you can put in the work, which I do like it in that sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I almost feel like the old like a currency or something. I mean, it could be something low drop rate. I mean, all right. So I did a lot of arenas this week,
Right.
and we earned enough for one piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel that was pretty good and pretty fair, and then we can boost that up and with honor and things. But Mythic Plus, maybe like a Valor type currency where you could maybe.
Yeah, and that's the thing that everyone's talking about, right? I mean, you listen to the other big podcasts, you listen to Dratnos or Tettles or, even Preach or any of those guys, and they're pretty much all hinting at, that being a good thing, and they're kind of hinting as if that's almost a certainty. And
Oh, really?
just the way they're talking about it, it just makes it almost sound like um,
Like it's gonna happen?
they just make it sound like it's a smart thing for them to do, but I guess my pushback on that would just be, I like how slowly the gear is actually given to you. I like that I got to play the game more than a month this time before I felt, okay, I've hit my power cap. I've done everything I want to do. There's no point to do anything else in the game anymore. And so I like that I'm able to progress each week, even further.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it, I don't know. I'm almost against the PvP system in the sense that you can gear too quickly if you're good at it. I don't think you or I are particularly great at it. I mean, we hit 1600, which is not exceptional, but there's probably a lot of people that only do PvE like us that haven't hit 1600. So
No, I would, to a PvPer, that's like
yeah,
1600.
yeah, right.
But
That's not rated BGs. That's just arena.
yeah, yeah. Which supposedly, if you're trying to get rating, I've been reading that that's the way to go. If you're
Yeah.
willing to put up, but then again, you have to put up with, if you're pugging it, forming a group, and all that
It's a
stuff.
time sink.
Yeah, but I agree with you. It's kept me engaged in the game. I would say it's kept me coming back, playing more. I do like you're going to get something guaranteed out of the vault. I feel like that was a good thing.
Yeah, and I haven't had a bad vault yet. I think each week, me personally, I basically work on now. I have 4 characters, and 3 of them I probably put the work in to make sure I get at least 3 rewards on each one.
Mhm.
I full clear the
Yeah.
raid each week on at least 1 or 2 characters. And then I probably end up doing at least 10 on whichever main character I'm feeling for the week. Last week it was my Windwalker. This week is my Demon Hunter. My Priest, I think I've run just a 12 and 10 on my Priest, but I think I've got at least 16 or 14 to 16s on the other 2 for the other 3 slots. And so I've had pretty good rewards. I haven't had a week where I'm just like, oh man, I didn't get anything out of the vault. I always sim and I always get at least 20 to 40 DPS upgrade.
And see, I'm in the same boat. Each week I've been getting good stuff. Like I've progressed each week, but
Mm-hmm.
I've heard the horror story.
Mm-hmm.
You do all the content, you do everything. You got bare minimum 6 choices, maybe more, and you open it up and they're all boots.
Yeah, and your legendary slot is a boot or something. And so
Yeah, it's something horrible like that.
yeah.
So that'd be very depressing. But I haven't been hit by that yet.
And I feel like some of those horror stories are from the people that probably have hit 2100. They probably have very few pieces left to replace. And so, they just kind of get screwed over. But
Yeah, we should be coming up on that mark too, where people are going
yeah.
to start, hitting that plateau a little bit until the next content release.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So it's expected, I would say.
yeah. Well, I feel like we probably play this game a lot more than most people. And we probably, do a lot of the content that fills the vault and gets our characters pretty geared, because I think the 2 of us are probably sitting around 218 or so on our main characters. And just looking at, if I look at my guild on worldofwarcraft.com, I think my Windwalker Monk, which basically got benched 3 weeks ago at this point, and got replaced by a Disc Priest, I think it's still the most geared character in the guild. There might be 1 or 2 people that pass me, but probably 3 or 4 slots down is my Vengeance Demon Hunter, and that's replacing main raiders. And I haven't
right.
raided on the Demon Hunter, and so you definitely can get gear not doing raids. But we're doing a couple mythic bosses a week, and I'm still out gearing people on my Demon Hunter not doing raids, so it's definitely possible to get geared elsewhere.
Are they just not, doing Mythic Plus?
Probably not to the degree that we are now.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I feel like it's in a good spot. Overall, I would say I don't have an improved for it
No,
right now.
do you want to see the token system for the M Plus?
The greedy part of me says, "Hell yeah!" Like give it to me.
Yeah.
Because there's some good pieces in there. That maybe like you could boost a couple item levels or something. But the common sense part of me says, well, then I'm gonna cap out and then get bored before the next
Yeah,
release.
I think that would be my issue with it is, and especially in BFA, I logged in and I had no reason to do a raid. At the time, the 3 of us, well, we have another friend that we primarily play with, but the 3 of us would log on each week and basically get everything done that we needed to get done in M+, and we try to pug a couple bosses in the raid. Usually that was just an annoyance to do. I don't know. We kind of liked the raid, but at the same time, it was annoying pugging it each week. But there just wasn't a reason to.
You didn't have to in BFA
No.
because you could just hammer out keys back to back to back, and if you had a tank and a healer, you could just do whatever you wanted.
And we always have that in the back of our mind when we start an expansion. We're like, okay, what's our comp gonna be?
Yeah, I don't like Q, so I knew
No.
going into it I wanted to be either a tank or a healer.
Right.
I started BFA as a warlock, and if you don't have those friends on, you're just stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it was definitely not a flavor of the month class at the very beginning. At least for N plus, Affliction wasn't.
No, and I mean that's how it is now. If you're not the flavor of the month, you don't get invites to anything.
Yeah, and so
As a DPS, at least.
Yes, it's tough. Even on my hunter, I did a 10 with you guys, and I was at the top of the meters, but trying to get into a 6, I can get declined.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can sit there. I've sat there for 10, 15 minutes and said, you know what? I guess I just really don't want to play on my alt right now, because I can't get invited to anything.
And I'm guilty of that as well. I mean, if it's all percentage, it's a percentage you're trying to calculate, what's going to give you the most success, right? So if
I'm guilty of it as well. You
Sure.
sit there and you're going to have, you need 1 DPS and you have 50 apply. You're like, okay, let me look at their IO. Like,
right. Right. It's a
like,
necrotic week. Hey, a boomkin. Hey, let's grab that.
Yeah, I'm doing an 8 on my alt, and there's a 15 guy hunter right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna take him over the guys who are probably really at this content level.
Right. You probably wouldn't even find my group because I'd have your eye level filtered out.
I've had that happen to me too.
Yeah. But speaking of bad classes, some class tunings coming up this week. So as of Tuesday, it looks like we have Death Knight. Frost is getting up by 5%. We got Havoc going up by 3%, which I think is kind of low. Hunter, you probably have to cue in on this one. Beast Mastery. Yeah, what do you think?
Survival are going up by 5. I have not. I mean, you don't see them.
Yeah, true.
You don't. I've not played any of this expansion, but I know they were both pretty low. I did get my butt whooped by a survival hunter in
PvP
arena. Yeah, it's an arena.
I think they're good in arena. I have a friend who was
crushed him in damage.
You think so? Okay. Yeah, I had a friend who was glad, and I couldn't tell if he was trolling or not because I just don't PvP. But he was telling me, "Oh yeah, survival's right where it's at in arena. Survival's great." And
I couldn't finish anybody off because I was running with a resto shaman and scatter shot, frost trap, which usually you have to scatter shot to be able to catch somebody to frost trap them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is the shaman CC called? Hex, all in the same diminishing returns, right? So, and he had a holy paladin, and it was on the BFA harbor map. And we, I crushed him on the meters, and I would just slap him silly. But then, they would just, CC us and get around the pillar. And, I can't cast through. I'm Night Fae. I don't have the Kyrian thing to shoot through the pillar.
Yeah.
And they eventually just, whenever the stuff stacked up, what is the buff called?
Dampening.
Anyway, dampening stacked up high enough, and they came out, and their CCs don't stack on anything, so they set up a CC chain and got us.
That's how I feel every time we do arena. I feel like our damage is like twice everyone else's, and we always fall over dead. So we're just bad at PvP.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not looking forward to seeing them in arenas with a 5% buff, but that could be good. It looks like Frost Mage 3%.
What do you think you'll see them in PvP? So you don't really see them too often. I do see them, but just not as often as you used to.
Yeah, you see mostly fire. I don't know. 3%. That just seems so.
It does seem low, but they did get buffed just a couple patches ago, if not last patch. And so maybe they're stealthing up there.
I'm more scared of frost than fire, to be honest with you. Fire to me is easier to like. Okay, big damage is coming, and the frost is just you just get smacked and whittled and.
See, Frost though, I always thought Frost was an early game, early expansion PvE class because all you have to do to get 100% crit is get 33% crit because your abilities apply whatever it is frozen to them that amplify your crit chance. And so I always thought Frost was going to be the early expansion spec, and I'm very surprised to see Fire where it is now.
Fire has always been, the power creep late expansion.
Yeah, exactly.
Spec, it's also Warriors were the same way.
Mm-hmm.
They would always come online and be fucking terrors at the end of the expansion.
Right.
But Peekaboo.
Yep, can't go without talking about Peekaboo if we're talking about assassination rogues.
5% damage buff, and the man just showed you can win an A cup. Actually, I don't know. He went to the finals, right? Is that?
Well, the specific match we watched, I think, was just a qualifier, wasn't it?
It was the upper bracket. I don't know what.
Okay.
It was NA Cup 1. He went Subtlety.
Right.
Versus, I don't remember the team name, but it was 0-2. They were down.
Yeah, no, they were about to get knocked out, and for whatever reason, yeah, he decided to go assassination, and they ended up.
And nobody thought he was gonna. They're like, thought he was memeing. Nobody took him serious.
The thing about that though, I think they won game 3. I don't think the other team changed comp, and then the other team changed comp, which I was surprised by, and the other team pulled out a Fire Mage when it didn't look like they were as good on Fire Mage because they were running the DK Warrior comp, which seems like that would be a nightmare for a rogue.
I think they hit panic mode,
Maybe.
And I think they were trying. I don't know. I'm definitely not pro by any means, but I feel like in that situation you should probably go more with comfort than the Hail Mary there. But yeah, they played the exact same comp for 4 matches, and no, they let Golden Guardians come back and do a reverse sweep with the Assassination Rogue.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the YouTube video. I was actually expecting one to be out by now, but no, it was. I mean, there is a new video, but it's not about that. So
I mean, I feel like the man was one game away from being a meme, and then next thing you know, he's a legend.
Yep.
So that was great.
Anyways, Assassination Rogue 5%. You think it'll have any PvE impact? I don't really think so.
I don't think so.
I don't even think you'll see a rogue in your raid, really. But
I'm trying to eject one out of mine, but
yeah, I think the DK does everything a rogue can do, but better with utility. So I don't think you'll be seeing a rogue anytime soon if you have the option for a DK.
Enhancement Shaman, 3% buff.
Yeah, that's your area too. I don't play enhanced shamans.
I haven't played one since the first tier of Legion, and I have not seen them in a raid the entire expansion so far.
Yeah, so, I think there are a lot of effort for low reward, and so which I think the Windwalker has kind of always been the same way, but at least you get the reward now with Windwalker.
I can tell you I have seen several in Arena, and I've gone face down every time. The guys can crank some damage if they get a hold of you. And they can crank some heals too. We had one today.
Today? Okay.
Oh, it was today. We had one where we were I think it was a Ret Paladin, Enhancement Shaman. I don't know if the Paladin was Ret or Holy. Doesn't really matter to the story. We were kiting so perfect. It was the Zandalari map, the big rectangle on the ground. We were kiting and just smacking him in the face. He out-healed our healer. And then, after doing a full lap and a half around that gigantic rectangle, we tried to stand our ground and do some bursts, and he just wiped my healer down, just like that. It was amazing. Out-healed the healer.
Yeah.
Cranked some damage, so
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
not the first time I've seen that. I see enhanced shamans pull some crazy heals. I remember one specifically pulled like 7k heals per second in arena. And we were just blowing everything into him, right? And
Hmm.
it's just like, what is this guy doing? He's just out healing their healer as this enhanced shaman, just going
And
nuts, and he's killing us
you're
at the
not
same time.
you're not seeing cast bars either.
No, yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah, that's something worth mentioning because I was like trying, tapping my keyboard as furious as possible, trying to get this guy down, and I'm not seeing anything to interrupt, and he's just walking at me like the Terminator, and yeah, like I binding shot, concussion shot, trap and try to line up a sniper shot. I mean, it was
right.
just everything, and he's just coming at me, and I could not get this guy down. Now, granted, Rhett, in my opinion, is just as ridiculous with the amount of damage and healing they can crank out. So
Yeah.
I'm also trash at PvP, so take all
Yeah.
that.
I was gonna say that earlier. It might not be the shaman leaving you face down. It could just be, the spooky. But
Yeah, yeah, I'm also bad, but
no, you're way better than me. So warlock.
Warlock, yeah, Destro 5%.
That's probably justified. I know affliction's great right now. You don't really see a lot of destruction. My GM is destruction. He says it's kind of a meme right now. So hopefully they get some love.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I've seen Affliction, and they seem to be doing good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I thought when I started playing, I was originally Affliction in BFA,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. Right,
Mm-hmm.
got all the things, and it was just great. And then Destruction became a little bit of a flavor of the month, and I swapped over to it, and I was like, I've been missing out. This is Chaos Bolt,
Yeah, KS Full is great.
amazing.
It's a fun
And
ability
so,
because it just you can feel it when it hits. You can feel it.
yeah, yeah, big green giant, fireball you just shoot out. It feels great.
Oh yeah.
So, um, I don't have a warlock right now, so I'm probably going to be on the receiving end of that. But yeah, that's good for them that they needed that. I'm glad to see that one.
Yep. And warrior is the last one, which, from what I'm hearing people are starting to invest in warriors again.
It's definitely worth having one right now
Yeah.
in a raid.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm hearing their DPS might even be kind of stealth OP right now, which right now we're only using a warrior tank, and maybe they were just memeing on it in the guild today, but they're saying maybe it's viable now.
We've had one DPS warrior the entire time, and he was bottom of the barrel,
Sure.
as far as the meters went.
Yeah,
But
there with
then
your Havoc Demon Hunter.
this week he
Not your dad
shot up.
Havoc. But...
Yeah, he shot up this week, and he was holding a good fourth and fifth spot there. He was not as not as big of a drop off. He was doing better. So, um, yeah, I feel like they've probably been doing good the entire time, and this is a guy that's also learning, I think, the game. So I feel like they've been kind of overlooked.
Yeah, it could be. I think
it's not a big buff. It's 3% for arms, 3% for fury.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's surprising me. I think the warrior, the mage, and the demon hunter are all underperforming the most out of everything listed here, but yet they got the smallest increase. Most everything got a 5%, and those three got a 3%, which is kind of surprising. But
Havoc for sure. I mean, you have a story about that, don't you? About your monk versus the Havoc demon hunter in the raid.
Well, yeah, I basically didn't think I was gonna raid this tier, and we're over on this server with one of my friends who I played with, about 6 years ago, and he's like, "Hey, come raid with us." And so my Kyrian demon hunter, which is definitely not, the correct covenant if you're raiding, goes in there with tank gear, and I'm bottom of the barrel. I mean, I'm fighting with, the warrior at the bottom. and and I just happened to be on a monk. I was leveling the monk, and the GM pinged me. He was like, "Hey, you want to play that monk? We need a monk." I'm like, "Okay, I'll play a monk." And so I come in there, and probably after 2 weeks, I'm on the top, the very top. And at least the cleave fights, I'm up there. And so yeah, Havoc Demon Hunter, not in a great spot. At least Kyrian Havoc Demon Hunter, not in a great spot.
What is the preferred covenant for rating?
Trying to think. Night Fae is PvP. Kyrian is tank. Venthyr? Maybe? I don't know if it's Venthyr or Maldraxxus. Actually, to be honest, I think it's Venthyr.
Okay.
But I mean, you don't ever see it, so I don't really know.
I never see a Venthyr. Yeah, with our group comp, we're usually Night Fae heavy.
Yeah, everyone goes Kyrian because Kyrian Demon Hunter is just so good. Like, everyone wants to tank on it because it's so good right now.
Yeah, that is the flavor of the month tank,
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Speaking of gearing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of gearing, that the whole Torghast thing.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it.
better or worse than Islands?
Worse. It is a huge time sink. Islands, you could pull the whole thing and just get your stuff.
Yeah.
But your legendary is, you got the heart, whatever, leveled up through Islands,
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, you got to farm your legendaries out of there. And like my Druid, for example, I have one legendary for M+,
mm-hmm.
a second one for Mythic Plus. One for Mythic Plus, one for rating. And then if, I want to go Boomkin, I've got to get a third one, So that's how many weeks of smashing my head against a huge time commitment,
Yeah, I don't love it either, but recently I found out that the ads do not perma aggro you, and so at least on my Demon Hunter and my Monk, which can kind of just zoom by everything, I'm just literally trying to run as fast as I can and just get to the end boss. I kind of have gotten to the point where I think I can do most of the end bosses without anything but the end rewards, unless obviously I run into a random chest where things aren't chasing me. I'll go ahead and do them, but I don't know. I think it takes me about 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the most now to get through a full Torghast. Just one tier, and then I'll go and do the other floor later.
But see, that's something that you can spend that time. I've got a kid, we all work. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it, But
yeah, and it's also a pain when you have multiple characters to do it on. It definitely becomes Torghast. It's not.
Hunter's still sitting at rank 1.
Is it? Yeah. I don't blame you for that, though.
Yeah.
But
all right. So I'm getting towards the end here. Anything else about the upcoming week?
Not real excited to fight Mythic Devourer. That's the one we're currently working on, third boss. Kind of working in between it, two different strategies right now. Neither of them are going particularly well. Still feeling very undergeared on my Disc Priest since it's only about 2 weeks old. It's probably not really supposed to be a Mythic, although I'm getting some great bracket parses for because I think I'm one of the only Disc Priest in Mythic at that gear level. But
yeah,
not really looking forward to that. I am looking forward to not being on Tyrannical this week. Although getting KSM knocked out is definitely nice, but obviously we got to go in there and get our vaults filled, and we got to get you guys KSM at this point. You're just missing Plaguefall, so we'll knock that out this week.
I feel like this is gonna be a good week. I feel like Heroic Sire is gonna die for me in my raid group. KSM, because this is gonna be. It looks like it's gonna be a good push week. I don't think Storming and Inspiring is gonna be a big hurdle this week, but I think overall it's gonna be a good week for me.
We push an IO, you think, next week?
Yeah, I think so.
I cleared a 16 miss this week, which was basically my first attempt at doing a 16, and honestly, it didn't feel any different than a 15 at all.
I feel like with our group, we're getting better at rotating cooldowns as well.
Yeah.
I think overall, we're just getting more M+ IQ, maybe, could be the word to say.
Yeah, that's smart.
Just how to handle it, the pridefuls and things.
Yeah, when to save cooldowns, when to burn cooldowns. We're actually conscientious of, who has a 2-minute cooldown, who has a 3-minute cooldown. If you're a fire mage, you basically have combust all the time. Um,
Yeah. I'll combust this pack. Okay.
okay.
I'll combust this one. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna combust this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna combust on the Pride.
Yeah, I'll
What, you
open
have
it
it
up.
for the boss? Oh no, I'll have it for the boss too. It's like what?
Yeah, I think we're building some synergy, so I think we're gonna get some good IO this week too.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so.
I don't think it's too far fetched to say we could go higher than a 16.
No, I don't think so. Like I said, we did even just trying to get KSM. I was applying to 15 and 16 Plague Falls. I really didn't care which one I got in, and we almost timed the 16 minus, the screw up in the boss room.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we would have had it. And I had
Yeah,
just as close calls in other 15 groups, and so I don't know.
yeah, it's all an execution. It's we got the gear and things. It's an execution right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Barring some effects, but this week looks good.
Oh, for sure. But
All right, man.
think
I
we're
think
gonna.
that is wrapping it up for episode 1.
Yep, this is episode 1 of the Depleted Key podcast. I'm the host Tarithal, joined with my co-host Spoogy. Let us know if you like this episode. It's our first time doing this, so obviously any feedback is great. And things will get better as we go. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Take care.